I'm Adeline and it is so nice to meet you. Welcome to the 71st Celebrity Synastry chart reading where we will be covering Vittoria Ceretti and Leonardo DiCaprio. For those new and returning, I take notes on a synastry chart looking at the personal planet signs aspects and of birth times available house overlays. I also add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. Feel free to leave your own in the comments below. Before we start the reading, give this video a like and subscribe for more celebrity synastry chart readings from me. Let's get into it. Starting off with the sun, we have Vittoria's sun in Gemini and Leonardo's sun in Scorpio. They want different things in life and they are attracted to their differences. Perfect. They could be potentially attracted to each other because of their different life goals. Vittoria is not attached like Leonardo. Leonardo thinks Vittoria is superficial, which kind of makes sense, unfortunately, with the whole stereotype of models. I believe she is a model, so it does match with the stereotype. It could be just relating to maybe when they first met though, hopefully. Vittoria thinks Leonardo is demanding and insatiable, yikes. Leonardo's sun in Vittoria's 9th house overlaid. They teach the other and it's a great and enduring friendship. It's a relationship of mental stimulation and they both share similar views. So potentially, maybe views-wise, they do share pretty similar views on that front. But when it comes to actual life goals and everything, it is a bit... Both influence the other to be more culturally aware. I believe that Vittoria is Italian and then Leonardo DiCaprio we have an American, so in that respect they would potentially make each other more culturally aware. Vittoria's sun, Trine Leonardo's moon. There's honest communication and Vittoria relies on Leonardo's support. Leonardo relies on Vittoria's wisdom and it's a naturally cooperative relationship. Leonardo tends to be dependent on Vittoria and they both feel they can rely on each other. Leonardo's sun conjunct Vittoria's moon. It's a powerful connection, there's a blending of goals. So this is nice. If they do have very different things they want out of life and they manage a way to blend that, that is very nice. I mean, I imagine it would be a bit easier if they are attracted to those differences. Vittoria plays a supportive role and Leonardo tends to lead the relationship. Initial attraction is felt by Vittoria. Leonardo's sun, Trine Vittoria's Jupiter. They will overdo together and they are good travel companions. Possibility of unpredictability, I can imagine with both their careers, particularly Leonardo's, and that there would be that sense of unpredictability. Vittoria boosts Leonardo's self-confidence and they both desire to make each other happy. Vittoria gives Leonardo the benefit of the doubt frequently, so I guess like playing into her sort of more supportive role, supporting whatever he will do, or most things anyway. Positive mutual respect will be maintained if they separate. Leonardo's sun square Vittoria's Uranus. It's not predictable or stable and separation occurs and causes strain. I mean, we saw the unpredictability before. The separation, I can assume, like we did see they would be travel companions, but it could just refer to them both traveling as individuals. Vittoria feels trapped by Leonardo over time and relationship can start and end suddenly. Yeah, I don't like, we've already seen a kind of couple deteriorating factors. They cannot rely on each other in the long term and Leonardo grows tired of Vittoria's inconsistency. Maybe she's the one that's traveling a bit more for work. I mean, I imagine she would have to do that. I assume she would be a somewhat successful model, so, you know, that could be the case. Leonardo initially finds Vittoria attractive and appealing, interesting. So I guess maybe Vittoria did like sweep into Leonardo's life with what we're seeing thus far. Hopefully we'll see a bit more.
Now for the intermission. This video is brought to you by me, my Etsy store, Adeline the Astrologer. If you ever watch this and think, hey, I would like her to read my synastry chart, well, I will. I do personalized synastry readings on my Etsy store, both basic and detailed. The basic one is very simple to understand. It's not overwhelming at all. It's pretty good for those that are beginners to astrology, just getting the head around astrology, or just as a fun gift idea. The detailed one is just like what I do on my channel, just a lot of insight and interpretation on your chart. So if you are interested in that and everything else astrology and tarot related, readings and gifts, then definitely check out my Etsy store. Links are below. I'm always releasing new things, so definitely check it out if you're interested. You can even just favorite the store just to show your support for free. Thanks for listening and let's get back to the reading.
So now it's time for the moon. We have Vittoria's moon in Scorpio and Leonardo's moon in Libra. Vittoria likely provokes Leonardo And Leonardo's superficiality doesn't impress Vittoria. This is interesting. If they're both seeing each other as a bit more superficial. Leonardo doesn't understand Vittoria's dark needs. Leonardo's moon overlaid in Vittoria's second house. Leonardo values Vittoria as a source of emotional satisfaction. Vittoria may feel unsure about Leonardo, and they both see each other as valuable. Vittoria may become possessive of Leonardo and practical relationship. Vittoria's moon conjunct Leonardo's Venus. It's mutually supportive, which we saw this a bit more on Vittoria's end. They're a socially popular couple. I can imagine they would be to some extent. They have a lot in common and they love each other even when the relationship is strained. Okay, that's nice. Like something a bit to soften the blow of the whole, deteriorating factors. Thrive on each other's energy. Maybe that is why that separation, when separation occurs, it causes that strain. Because they really do, thrive better as a couple when they are actually together. It's not one of those long distance relationships where it would benefit or not do much to the couple. It would actually harm them more than do good. They're a social and business couple, and Vittoria is supportive of Leonardo's creative interests, so I assume that's where she's mostly supportive of him through those creative interests he has. Social activities are important to share together, and it's a caring and loving bond. Vittoria's moon conjunct Leonardo's Mars. Both feel more creative together, and over time, Vittoria finds Leonardo is insensitive. Potentially, Leonardo is a bit more insensitive when it comes to her career, because we just saw that he gets tired of her inconsistency. I have to assume with everything else we've seen, it could be related to a career not being as predictable, and also he sees her as superficial. So potentially he's a bit insensitive when it comes to her career ambitions and everything. It's an emotional relationship. With what we've seen so far, it seems like Vittoria is the one that is mostly doing the emotional legwork for Leonardo. They're involved in each other's lives, and sometimes Vittoria wishes Leonardo was more committed. So potentially that is where she becomes possessive of Leonardo. Maybe she doesn't feel like they're spending as much time together, which it doesn't seem to be, unfortunately. Leonardo can make Vittoria feel insecure, and Vittoria's desire for closeness makes Leonardo feel limited. He's a bit odd here, because it seems like he's not particularly impressed that she's a bit inconsistent with things, but at the same time doesn't seem to really desire that closeness, so I always see a bit more. Vittoria's moon trine Leonardo's Jupiter. There's good fortune, and there's a possibility of being too excessive. They're happy in each other's presence. So yeah, I see this. It seems like when they are actually together, things seem to be good. It is just when they do separate, there is a bit of strain and negativity surrounding the relationship. Adventure is important in this relationship, and honest communication is easy, I believe we see again. Leonardo helps Vittoria with her emotions. Okay, this is nice. If this is mutual, perfect, great. Vittoria's moon trine Leonardo's Saturn. Building on past traditions is important, and it's a stable relationship. I'm not sure where past traditions lie in this relationship. The only thing I can think of, maybe this is being petty, maybe on Leonardo's end, if she hasn't turned 25 or, isn't 25 yet, he needs to build on his past traditions of, ending things when she turns 25. Not sure how old she is though. I assume it would be around that sort of age range though. It's a stable relationship and there's a potential for accumulating wealth, so we see the whole wealth thing again. Not surprisingly so. Vittoria sees Leonardo as mature, which we did see earlier that he seems to take a bit more of the sort of leadership role in the relationship, and Vittoria seems to be a bit more supportive. Leonardo is accountable with Vittoria, which is nice considering she seems to desire that commitment and, can be a bit more possessive, which would help her, I assume. Leonardo prioritizes domestic life, and Leonardo's desire for commitment is appealing to Vittoria. So it seems like they both are committed to each other. It just seems like potentially their own priorities are kind of getting in the way of that. Leonardo finds it difficult to be emotionally caring. I mean, we did see before that he seems to provide that, so hopefully he is just trying and, able to break through that. They can achieve mutual long-term goals together. Leonardo's moon trine Vittoria's Mercury. Comfortable talking to each other about everything, and it's a harmonious relationship. Vittoria enjoys being emotionally nourished by Leonardo. Okay, so I'm glad if he genuinely finds it difficult to be emotionally caring. I'm glad it seems like he has broken through that, which is nice to see. Vittoria provides a foundation for Leonardo's feelings. Again, like we saw that Vittoria does provide that emotional nurturing as well to Leonardo, which is nice. Leonardo is comfortable expressing his feelings with Vittoria. Leonardo's moon trine Vittoria's Mars. They're instinctively drawn to each other and there's a mutual attraction, which I believe we did see a bit more on Vittoria's end, but still there. It's a lively relationship and Leonardo nurtures and feeds Vittoria's ego. Vittoria teaches Leonardo to be brave and confident and both learn about their instincts and needs here. Arguing is not uncommon and expressing feelings is spontaneous here. We have been seeing that they do generally have the honest communication, so I assume that's why they would be, just honest with each other, what comes to their mind, they don't think before they speak. Leonardo's moon trine Vittoria's Uranus. Both feel free to express themselves, we just saw. Vittoria is more open around Leonardo. Ideas of unconventional domestic setup bring them together. I mean, you could see this in various ways. I think their whole relationship dynamic can be considered a bit unconventional, but also with the whole traveling thing, maybe they do have a unique setup because of that, the infrequency being together in the same place, if that makes sense. They can cope with sudden changes together and there's a level of unpredictability we keep seeing. Vittoria feels safe around Leonardo and they enjoy talking about social issues. Mutual friends may bring them together. We haven't seen a whole lot when it comes to their meeting besides this, and also the relationship starts and ends suddenly. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Vittoria's Mercury in Gemini and Leonardo's Mercury in Libra. These are both air signs. They have abstract conversations and they both tend to be argumentative. We did see, again, as I said earlier, it probably just stems from them both just speaking their minds very bluntly and being straightforward with each other. It's intellectually stimulating, which we did see that this is a bit more of an intellectual relationship. They share detached and objective values, which we did see at the beginning. I believe that they do seem to sort of share same values and everything. It's just when it comes to more practical matters of life goals and everything, that is where they can differ a bit. Leonardo's Mercury overlaid in Vittoria's 9th house. Travel, culture, and philosophy are common topics of conversation. I assume the travel thing, we have seen that traveling element, but with culture as well, we did see that element of them. I believe it was influencing the other's culture, or they learned through the other's culture through the other. Vittoria is impressed with Leonardo's knowledge, and Leonardo gives Vittoria a greater perspective on life. So I assume there has been those elements where, Leonardo seems to be the more mature one and everything. And I believe we did see that Vittoria is guided by his wisdom. Vittoria's Mercury square Leonardo's Jupiter, a relationship that expands consciousness. So going back to all the things we have been seeing really, when it comes to that whole sort of intellectual part of the relationship, promising more is a problem, and Leonardo helps Vittoria go through hard times of optimism. So she seems to be guided by Leonardo is what we've been seeing really. There's a habit of interrupting. So yeah, as we've been seeing, fortunately or unfortunately, that they do both seem to be leaning towards the more argumentative side. Leonardo may come off as holier than thou. Leonardo is frustrated with Vittoria's analytical approach to life. He seems to be a bit frustrated with just her approach to life in various areas. The whole possessiveness thing, which, can kind of make sense, if it is a bit smothering. But also the whole inconsistency thing as well. Lack of understanding regarding each other's ideas. I believe this seems to be with what we have seen considering everything, just the general life approaches and life goals and everything. There's communication difficulties. I assume just the habit of interrupting they may potentially have together, and obviously the argumentative nature. Strong mental and intellectual bond, and they are frequent misunderstandings. Debates can turn into arguments, and they've different philosophical views. We did see that they do tend to discuss stuff like philosophy. If they do have those different views, it kind of is a bit of that foundation for, it's a bit more potential for them to argue over, Vittoria's Mercury opposite Leonardo's Neptune. Vittoria finds Leonardo vague and elusive, and Vittoria's trustful Leonardo fades. Leonardo finds Vittoria practical and logical. Vittoria's trustful Leonardo fades. I would have to assume, maybe this is a bit jumping to things, but considering that Vittoria seems to be a bit more possessive, and that element of Leonardo is accountable Vittoria. Is that potentially because she is suspicious of him, stepping out on them, and, through that, her trust fading? Leonardo finds Vittoria practical and logical, and there are frequent misunderstandings. I don't like how this keeps being repeated now. Leonardo feels misunderstood by Vittoria, and it is difficult long term. We're seeing again, they find each other intriguing initially. I'm not obsessed with how we've already seen quite a few deteriorating factors. Leonardo's communication is manipulative. Oh no. Vittoria sees Leonardo's spirituality as unrealistic. Vittoria's Mercury trine Leonardo's Pluto. They have deep conversations, and there's a revealing of deep dark secrets here. Leonardo helps Vittoria open her mind. I like this, considering it seems like Leonardo doesn't naturally emotionally give. I appreciate that he seems to be trying to do it for Vittoria. It's a therapist-patient relationship, and they get to the bottom of matters. They feel very close to each other, and they resolve difficult issues together. This is something I don't think I've mentioned. We've seen a couple of these things, they're able to cope with sudden changes together and now resolving difficult issues together. I do like that. If they're able to go through, hard times together, it's very nice. Vittoria is fascinated with Leonardo's depth, and Leonardo appreciates Vittoria's humor and easygoing nature. You do kind of see the age gap in the, little notes in these, don't you? There's a lot of, she's fascinated with Leonardo's depth and everything, and his wisdom. And then, Leonardo appreciating Vittoria for sort of more easygoing, humor, nature, stuff like that, more youthful things. Leonardo's Mercury opposite Vittoria's Saturn. Leonardo needs to be patient with Vittoria, and they have deep respect for the other's intelligence. This I definitely see. It's strong and long-lasting, and Leonardo may feel intimidated by Vittoria's practicality. He doesn't seem to be very obsessed with her sort of more practical and logical side, does he? Leonardo might feel like a child around Vittoria. Interesting. Natural communication is difficult, and both partners subconsciously enjoy their conflict. I mean, going back to how their sort of differences attract them, so I assume that's where. Leonardo's Mercury square Vittoria's Neptune. They think creatively around each other, and they both need to be clearer with communication. I think they are both a bit too clear with communication. They seem to be very straightforward around each other and everything. Potentially on certain things they would need to be more clearer with. Leonardo misunderstands Vittoria, and Leonardo sees Vittoria as abstract. Vittoria sees Leonardo as practical and logical, and Leonardo's trust for Vittoria fades. This is interesting. I'm not obsessed with the deteriorating factors though, but on both ends, they're both losing trust for the other. Vittoria feels limited by Leonardo, and Vittoria feels misunderstood by Leonardo. I believe we're seeing this again, which isn't great on both ends. So now it's time for Venus. We have Vittoria's Venus in Taurus and Leonardo's Venus in Scorpio. These are sister polarity signs and also fixed signs. Opposites attract, going back to the very beginning, how the differences attract them. They are loyal to each other. I mean, on Leonardo's end, I am questioning it a bit, honestly. Vittoria helps Leonardo calm down, and they are attracted to the other's personalities. I feel like personalities, I see that, but particularly on Vittoria's end or Leonardo's end, he doesn't seem to be obsessed with Vittoria's approach to life and everything. The personalities may clash, and Vittoria feels Leonardo is too much. Okay. It's long term, and Leonardo thinks Vittoria is boring. Oh dear, that's not fun. I guess going back to how she or he sees her as a bit more abstract and everything. Leonardo's Venus overlaid in Vittoria's 8th house. Leonardo is captivated by Vittoria, and it's a transformative relationship. Leonardo is willing to do anything for Vittoria. Vittoria's Venus opposite Leonardo's Mars. Vittoria may become manipulative to try get Leonardo to prove his feelings. First of all, it's not great we're seeing that both of them can become manipulative. Secondly, I feel like this goes back to how, her trust is fading for him. And it seems like she's trying to get him to be accountable and everything. I feel like she has major trust issues with Leonardo, whether it is because of something in the past maybe, although we haven't seen that. But because of something Leonardo has done, it's not great. Their desire for each other will always be there, and Vittoria sees Leonardo as harsh. Their desire for each other will always be there, and Vittoria sees Leonardo as harsh. He does seem to be a bit harsh. Like, I don't feel like he's obsessed with her career. With, like, everything we're gathering altogether, overall doesn't seem to be obsessed with her and her career. Vittoria feels she gives more than she gets. I mean, definitely support-wise, I feel like emotionally, Leonardo is a twitch better. But then we have Vittoria, she seems to be a bit more supportive when it comes to things. We haven't seen that on Leonardo's end. Leonardo sees Vittoria as lacking substance. I don't like this. He seems to very much view her as a model. Like, we've seen, he sees her superficial, lacking substance, abstract. I'm not liking it. Leonardo may come onto Vittoria too strong. This is interesting because we saw that the initial attraction is felt by Vittoria. Potentially she showed that and then he came on a bit strong. Vittoria's Venus sextile Leonardo's Jupiter. It's materially successful, we have been seeing, and Leonardo finds Vittoria interesting. I assume their intellectual relationship is really holding this down, isn't it? There's an ability to get over issues and they see the good in each other. They trust each other. I have to debate that. I mean, potentially in the beginning of the relationship. It's not like, most people don't go into a relationship, I don't trust this person, so I'm going to get into a relationship with him. Relationship of growth, and they thrive in each other's company. Yeah, we've been seeing this. They do seem to do a lot better when they're actually in each other's presence. They're a socially popular couple. Leonardo's Venus, Trine Vittoria's Jupiter. Vittoria appreciates Leonardo as a friend, so maybe the whole beginning of their relationship, maybe Vittoria initially felt that attraction and then Leonardo was the one to sort of come on to Vittoria to, push it past the friendship barrier. I'm not sure. They see the good in each other and they make each other feel confident. I believe we did see earlier that Leonardo boosts Vittoria's ego. They're a financially abundant couple, we're seeing again, and they share inside jokes together. They thrive in each other's company, and Leonardo improves Vittoria's social life. I'm sure he would. They're a popular couple. So now it's time for Mars. We have Vittoria's Mars in Gemini and Leonardo's Mars in Scorpio. Vittoria tends to be nitpicky with Leonardo. Yeah, she seems to be, I don't even know how I would word it. She seems to be quite paranoid, I guess, when it comes to Leonardo in certain things. It's an impulsive relationship. Maybe that's why, things started and ended suddenly, because they both impulsively got into this relationship, maybe. Leonardo is possessive of Vittoria, so we're seeing this on both ends. Vittoria finds Leonardo intellectually stimulating, not surprisingly so. Leonardo's Mars overlaid in Vittoria's 9th house. There's a strong need to travel together and there is easygoing chemistry. I feel like strong need to travel together would be kind of related to, I want to skew this a bit, because we have seen that they do seem to travel, and I think, realistically, so they would have to for work-related reasons. We also have seen there is that need to be together. So if they are frequently traveling together and they frequently need to be together, there is effectively they need to travel together. Leonardo is more straightforward around Vittoria, and Leonardo feels he can have a good time with Vittoria. Leonardo is drawn to Vittoria. Vittoria's Mars square Leonardo's Jupiter. They meet in a fun way. I would be curious to see how they met, because we've seen quite a lot of elements, like they meet each other suddenly, and it seems like through friends, could be a bit more of a fun social event. But we also there is that element potentially where they started off as friends, and, Vittoria's the one that was initially attracted to Leonardo, but he was the one that seems to have sort of really accelerated the relationship. Leonardo sees Vittoria as selfish, and Vittoria sees Leonardo's logic as hindrance. They encourage each other to be reckless, and Leonardo may be a bad influence on Vittoria. Vittoria's Mars opposite Leonardo's Neptune. They have opposite approaches to taking risks, yeah. They seem to just generally have, in some certain ways, I feel like intellectually, very much on the same page, and it seems like views-wise, yes. I feel like their sort of approach to life is quite different, though. They argue about the differences between their wants. Lovely. Vittoria's Mars, Trine Leonardo's Pluto. It's intense, and they accomplish a lot together. Lots of primitive energy, and enjoy the power play between them. We honestly haven't seen a whole lot of power play and power-related things here. you know, we have seen indicators. I feel like, well, I would say they're a bit indicators of, you know, the whole Leonardo being a bit older, and it seems like Victoria's the more youthful one here. Potential for both to get possessive here. Yes, definitely. Victoria helps bring out Leonardo's subconscious to the surface. I assume that is how she would be emotionally helpful to Leonardo. Leonardo's Mars square Victoria's Uranus. Exciting but unstable, we've been seeing. It's not long term yet. Unfortunately, it seems like throughout this reading, there has been more, you know, weighing on this whole relationship having deteriorating factors rather than longevity factors. Victoria triggers Leonardo's temper. Ooh, I don't like that. Leonardo gets easily irritated with Victoria. I don't like how this is repeated. We saw this earlier. They may encourage the other to be reckless. Maybe that is how Leonardo is a bad influence on Victoria. You know, he's encouraging her to be reckless. Victoria sees Leonardo as a threat to her independence, and Victoria distances herself from Leonardo. So I assume, are they still together or not? Because if they're, I mean, in the future, it seems like, honestly, I don't have the greatest amount of hope for these two to really last. If they do end things, I am going to assume it would be on Victoria's end ending things. So that was the final aspect, bringing us to the end of the reading. If you are still watching, please share your thoughts below. I'd love to see how you guys interpret this one. It was a bit of a different reading, I think, from the other ones I've done so far. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this one, how you've interpreted this one. If you have made it this far, please consider subscribing for more. I post these weekly. Besides that, give this video a like, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!